Trump Tower is coming to the Gold Coast. Yes, that Trump. But before buyers rush to secure an apartment in Trump Tower Gold Coast, there's something far more important than branding. How Queensland property law, off-the-plan contracts and foreign investment rules will actually affect your purchase, because prestige doesn't remove risk. Considering buying in the proposed Trump Tower Gold Coast, we analysed developer track record, off-the-plan risk, FIRB exposure, sunset clauses and market cycle factors every sophisticated buyer should assess before signing. The proposed Trump Tower Gold Coast has generated headlines, curiosity and predictable controversy. But strip away the politics and branding for a moment and what you're left with is something far more interesting, a case study in high-rise development on the Gold Coast. For developers, investors and off-the-plan buyers, the real question isn't whether the brand is polarising. The real question is, does global branding reduce risk or simply repackage it? Let's unpack what sophisticated buyers and developers should actually be watching. Recent media reports. Just a couple of weeks ago, Gold Coast Mayor Tom Tate had dinner with the President of the USA, Donald Trump, at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida on the 13th of February 2026. The following day, the Trump organisation signed a deal to build a 91-storey super tower in Surfers Paradise, the highest tower in the country. Now let's talk about the developer profile. The proposed Trump Tower Gold Coast is being steered by Queensland-based developer Altus Property Group, led by CEO David Young. Altus markets itself as a national developer with a portfolio of residential and land projects across Australia, but is best known for smaller estate developments rather than major high-rise towers. Young recently confirmed a branding and development deal with the Trump organisation in Florida, a relationship he said has been decades in the making. Industry observers note that Altus is a relatively new player in the space and that Young's career as a director has included past financial setbacks and company collapses, which has promoted questions about capacity to deliver a skyscraper of this scale. In short, while the international branding grabs attention, the delivery risk ultimately sits with the local developer and their ability to fund, permit and construct Australia's tallest tower, not the Trump name on the facade. The branding illusion, prestige does not remove legal risk. There's no doubt that attaching an international brand can improve pre-sale velocity, attract offshore buyers, assist with banking funding thresholds, and command premium pricing. But here's the commercial reality. Branding does not remove planning risk, construction escalation costs, insolvency risk, market cycle exposure, or contractual imbalance. Luxury developments fail for the same reasons ordinary developments fail. The logo does not change the fundamentals. Sophisticated investors understand that the contract matters more than the marketing suite. Planning and approval risk, the quiet variable. High-rise developments on the Gold Coast are never simple. They often involve height variations, community objections, infrastructure contributions, extended assessment timeframes, and political sensitivity. Approval delays can materially affect construction start dates, pre-sale validity periods, financial drawdown timing, and buyer confidence, just to name a few. Developers often model best-case approval timeframes. Markets rarely deliver best-case conditions. Timing risk is one of the most underestimated variables in high-density projects, and that's not to mention sunset clauses. Now let's switch gears to foreign investment and compliance, the FIRB layer. Large branded developments frequently target offshore purchasers. This introduces another regulatory layer through the Foreign Investment Review Board. Foreign buyers must consider FIRB approval conditions, vacancy fee obligations, additional stamp duty surcharges, and ongoing compliance. Guys, I've done blogs on these topics. There'll be links in this blog if you want to read or watch along to learn more. Where projects are heavily marketed overseas, settlement risk increases if regulatory conditions shift or capital controls tighten. This isn't theoretical, it has happened before. Off the plan risk, where things get real. This is where legal risk becomes tangible. Luxury projects typically include extended sunset dates, broad variation rights, complex disclosure material, deposit structures tied to finance thresholds. So buyers should be asking, can the developer extend the sunset date unilaterally? Under what circumstances can the plans change? How much can the plans change? Is my deposit secured by a trust structure compliant with Queensland law? What happens if bank valuations fall at settlement? And of course, that's not an exhaustive list. A $3 million apartment sale is still governed by the same contractual principles as a $500,000 unit. The stakes are simply higher. When valuations soften, buyers are the ones asked to contribute more equity, not the marketing team. Market cycle risk. The Gold Coast has a history. Traditionally, the Gold Coast has always been cyclical. Boom periods attract ambitious vertical projects, construction costs escalate, labour tightens, pre-sales slow, credit conditions shift, then sentiment changes. Developers with strong capital stacks survive. Highly leveraged projects sometimes do not. Brand strength does not insulate a project from microeconomic forces. I'm not here to vilify off the plan or the Gold Coast. I'm a huge advocate for the Gold Coast and I live on the Gold Coast. I think personally gone are the days of boom and bust for the Gold Coast. However, high-rise apartments, vertical living, it's a totally different space. You just have to be conscious of the risk for off the plan. There's huge upside if you get it right. There's huge downside if you get it wrong. All right, what buyers should be thinking about. If you're considering buying in a project like this, any premium off the plan development, your due diligence should include contract review by a lawyer experienced in development projects, analysis of the sunset clause provisions, review of your variation rights, assessment of developer track record, are they a known name and do they deliver, consideration of the valuation risk at settlement, and clarity around Foreign Investment Review Board and surcharge exposure if applicable. I've done a blog on sunset clauses, guys. I'll pop that in the blog as well. Prestige projects can be exceptional investments. They can also expose buyers to concentrated risk. The difference is rarely in the brochure, it's in the contract and the developer. The proposed Trump Tower is not just a building proposal, it's a reminder of something fundamental. In high-rise developments, branding creates attention, structure creates resilience. Whether you're a developer raising capital or a buyer committing to an off-the-plan contract, the legal architecture beneath the project matters more than the architectural design above it. And that is where sophisticated advice is critical. To wrap this up, guys, landmark projects can redefine skylines, but they also test assumptions about timing, leverage, and market appetite. Before committing capital to any high-density development on the Gold Coast, Brisbane, or anywhere else, ensure your decisions are grounded in contract analysis, not marketing confidence. Because in property development, the risk doesn't disappear, it simply changes shape. What may be a good marketing package may not be a good financial decision in the long term. Still have questions about this topic? I've actually popped a few FAQs in the blog, so if you scroll right to the bottom, you can have a quick read there. If you're buying or selling property in Brisbane, the Gold Coast, or anywhere in Queensland, understanding how Queensland property law applies to your transaction is critical. Every contract is different, and local conveyancing experience matters. Pick a team you can trust, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. Anyone you think might want to know about Trump Tower, the Gold Coast, buying off the plan, or beyond. See you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep in mind that all advice is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. This is authorised by George Soros Empire Legal, Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia.